Uh, yep, looks like we're up. It really does. Maybe, I don't know. Talking. I'm talking. I don't know if there's actually anybody. I don't know. Are we on YouTube or Restream? Where are we at? So, all right. Sam says we're everywhere. Talk to
There
me if
you
you're
go.
here. DJ, you here?
I am present. Present.
Present.
All
All right. I found the event. There we
right.
go. There we go. We're working on it. We're working on it.
Maybe I won't break it again. Trying not to break it.
Sorry, just a complete downage. We haven't had one in a minute, so we got kind of
Yep.
complacent. I'm not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. I wasn't ready to just relaunch the backup. Yeah. Sam, that was ass. That was it. He said it. Sorry, everybody. I don't even know what we were talking about. I'm gonna try and patch this together later into a listenable yeah. Let's
Cool.
go. Yeah. James Michelisco
Cool.
has it covered. Okay. Where were we at, DJ? What were you were on a rant, and then I feel like you might have got cut off.
Man, it was really great. It's probably going to be one of those recordings that they set to a really cool video and like this inspiring message.
I feel like it
I
was
forgot
golden
what it is.
tidbits of powerful wisdom that no one
I
else.
forgot what it was. Next question.
Solid.
Uh,
Okay, I don't even know what I did with all my questions, trying to close windows and make stuff
it's all
work.
right. It was a jack of all trades thing, man. And to be
Uh,
honest, like uh, just to sort of summarize it, I think the point of the matter is in the suburban fire service, we got to be able to adjust our sales rapidly. And we got to be able to pick the proper strategy based on the staffing, based on the intel, based on the sequence of arrival, and based on our neighbors we're working with. And at the end of the day, what's worked for me in suburbia is taking information in and keeping it as simple as possible in my thought process. Uh, Odd enough, I'm not a fast
mm.
processor, but
All
I'm
right,
on a
hold
job that requires fast processing. So, you know, working.
on. Possibly. Are we live on YouTube? Let me know
Let's see.
because may need a refresh. May need a refresh. Kyle says we're live on Facebook, not on YouTube, but I'm getting
Okay.
comments from YouTube, so I don't know. Let us know, everybody. I count on yes, yes, yep. Live on YouTube. Okay, we're good. We're good.
Cool.
Lots of interaction. Okay, thank you guys. Everybody,
Okay.
please bear with us. If you know the scrap, this is what we do. We power on. I want to throw this question at you. I don't know if I just interrupted you too bad.
Nope.
Jonathan Kanzig wants to know who is the better
I bet he
surfer?
does.
Who is the better
Oh,
surfer?
of course.
DJ Stone or Chief Kanzig?
Okay, so Chief Kanzig is my brother's boss and a close friend of me and my brother we grew up with. And me, him, and Cameron, we surf every time there's swell. So, of course, in light of keeping my brother's job and him employed, Chief Kanzig is the best surfer on the Gulf Coast. He's the best amateur professional I've ever surfed with,
Right on.
to be
Right on.
honest.
That's brotherly love right there.
He rides an old man longboard like I've never seen an old man ride a longboard before. It was great.
There you
That's funny.
go. No,
He now surfs when I have to go into my 40 hours. So that's how that works because he's a chief.
that's how Chiefs do it, right?
So yes, very true.
uh, Going back in time on an earlier question, Nate
Yeah.
Schuler wanted to ask, what was your biggest hangup on Quick Mask, and what did you do to change or fix it?
Gloves. I can't say that I've overcame the gloves, but I know the path. And this is a lame excuse. I know it is, but it just wasn't as critical for me to nail that down on battalion as it was maybe when I was riding a truck. I know that's a terrible excuse. I'm just being honest in the trust tree right now, since there's only like 6 people back looking on the podcast again. So, with that being said, I the gloves were just the hugest hang up, man. If you could figure out putting it on with the gloves on, it reduces your time. No doubt. I've seen it with my own eyes, down to 10 seconds or less.
Right on. Andrew begins said, damn it, YouTube, we talk good about you. No, that was just a crash. It was just
Yeah,
a crash. It was straight up just a crash. It's going to happen. If you do enough live shows, it's going to happen.
yeah.
So there's nothing you can do about it. We've been very reliable, so we were due. Um, yeah, we thought Kurt was going to break
Just
his
glad it
arm.
didn't happen on Chief Lombardo or Kurt or one of these big name dudes.
No, dude, you were crushing it when it
So
happened. That's the part
so
that's the frustrating part. Uh, Leading the crews to bring that standard up is just as valuable as you doing the masking up, and that comes from Joel Richardson.
yes, 100%. Joel is a veteran of Escambia County Fire Rescue, and their training safety chief over there, man, is outstanding fireman. He's absolutely right.
Love it. Okay, going back to your questions. The officer is the expert. This comes from
Yes,
Shannon's advice, and I wanted to hear
yes.
what the whole hit me.
So no pressure, right? When I promoted up through the ranks, and you never feel this way. I still don't feel this way right now, but um, it's kind of like what Dennis sent. Dennis gave me this sign that says the comfort zone is where excellence goes to die, right? So Dennis Riley, first line, the first line training. So in light of that, I don't know that you ever become comfortable with that, but that was a challenge early on that my brother gave me, that when I promoted, he's like, well, congratulations. Now you're the expert and you're supposed to be the most senior person on the crew with all the answers. And I'll ask you, did you feel that way when you promoted up? And I don't care what organization you work in, there's that bit of intimidation on
Oh, absolutely.
what you don't know
Yeah,
and
the
what you're going to run
pressure to
into.
know it all. There's this pressure to know everything.
It is. And he wasn't saying I have to be the expert in everything, but it was more or less like this sort of rhetorical challenge, right? And even to this day, moving into my new position in a new organization, that's the challenge. The challenge is to be the expert. I can't be the expert. So if you can't be the expert, what is the next step to being the expert? In my opinion, the next step is I got to surround myself with people that are way smarter than me. And I got to use the strength of the team. So when I promoted, that's exactly what I did at Engine 7. And I had a rock star crew for, frankly, the call of my life. And how that, I think part of the ingredients to that success was having people that were really good at what they did. And they were good at where I was weak, and I was maybe strong where they were weak, and we complemented each other. I've always got to mention it. My driver was Bobby Anderson. He's now a battalion at Fort Walton Beach. And Scott Caskey, who is now a driver up for promotion at Fort Walton Beach, both still employed there, just outstanding firefighters. And I got another guy by the name of Brian Jackson, who, as luck would have it, right, Murphy's Law, we were riding 3 that night. He was a third guy off. But I recruited, the point is, I recruited these people around me because I saw the strengths of that team. And I
Right.
go, man, I just don't have all those answers. But if I can assemble people and I can move the chess pieces to my favor, then I can win. But anyways, back to the whole, you got to be the expert thing. And the officer is the expert. The officer is supposed to be the most veteran man, woman of the crew. You're supposed to have the most years on. But you know what? It doesn't always pan out that way,
Right.
especially right now in the fire service, almost globally. I could talk to friends in St. Louis. I could talk to friends in San Diego and Miami-Dade up to North Walton. Everyone's in this transition, retiring out, guys coming in, less experience coming in, more experience going out, And so how do we bridge that gap? Well, frankly, the only way outside of training, or excuse me, experience, to bridge the gap is we got to get out there out of our box, and we have to train. And training takes on many different facets, as you well know. I mean, what you're doing right now is training. It's a form of training, isn't it? We're
Right.
taking
A
it in,
form
we're
of.
taking
Yes.
information in. Yes, we're hearing opinions, we're vetting those opinions into our own context, and we're applying it. So the only way for me to bridge that gap over the years where I'm not maybe running the fires was to lean on mentors who have done more and continually attend things outside of my box. And then
Yes.
when I go to these events, I insert myself into these situations where I don't know the answer. Because
Love it.
I just had this speech at South Walton when I'm making my rounds the other day. I said, listen, here's what I want to do with the training center. I don't want the training center, when you come into my organization, when you come to the training center with me, Like I'm there to judge everything you're doing and looking for failure.
Right.
Quite the opposite. I want it to be a friendlier, right? More loving, more accepting environment to fail. Because I would rather you fail at the tower
Right.
with us there so we could fix that problem. And we could be like, hey, listen, man, all good, buddy. I've been doing it 22. You've been doing it too. It's cool. I've been there. Do this, do that. Hey, let's run the drill again. And when we produce that environment of allowable failure at the training ground, people actually learn. They're not afraid to go. They're excited to go. They're excited to be with people who know that they're going to help them improve and
Yes.
not dog them out for not knowing, to include the 15-year veteran on a truck that might be on an outlier that's went to 5 good working fires his whole career. Because that exists, right? That's suburban America. Well, let's not be afraid to fail on the training ground anymore. Because when we fail, we learn. When we learn from experiences and training in real life, we apply it to our next call and we get better at it. Therefore, we're slowly but surely pecking away at becoming an expert. Although I believe, just like seeking faith in your life, you're never going to fully know who God is.
Right.
We're never going to fully know every version of what firefighting is because it is so dynamic and we can't predict every emergency that's going to happen and how we're going to react and maybe the solutions we're going to bring to the table. But the solutions are strictly built on 2 things, in my opinion: the intake of training and experience and feeding yourself, which I'll talk about that later, and our experiences.
I love it.
That's the only way we're going to succeed. Outside of that, I mean, all due respect to degrees and books and certifications. I mean,
No,
if you're not putting some good training and meat in there, it's just fluff, man. It's just paper.
And on something you said, James Michelisco in the comments said, I definitely should be logging my scrap hours into Target Solutions. And I absolutely think that's something everyone should lobby. Everyone should lobby for that.
I'm going to take that to South Walton next week. Thank you very much. That's great.
Yes, absolutely. Watch 2 hours of the scrap. I watched an hour and a half of Mike Lombardo dropping truth bombs. Absolutely. That should count as training and it should go in.
Yes.
It's way better than most of the stuff we log. I promise you. Most of the stuff the administrative checkboxers log.
Yes. I got to figure out how to get that certified in Florida.
We do. We do.
So
no, absolutely. I like there's some good questions here. Hold on.
Okay.
What do you think of James Michelisco, also the guy who said Target Solutions? DJ, what was your go-to tactic of search? Split, oriented, etc.
Well, I'm going to quote a famous fire chief. His name is John Norman. And it depends. Joking aside, that's the truth, isn't it? Yeah. It really does depend. It's like you have concepts. We train on concepts, right? But whatever situation you're faced with, you default to something. So my pattern in life has been this. I'm going to answer the question indirectly. Something my brother also taught me, like you got to have back pocket as an officer, 3 different options. So it's option A, B, C, and then D is when you're leaning on the team. That's what I've always said.
Right.
So in light of that, same thing with a search. If it's a VES, it's not always get in, shut the door, do the search, throw the victim out by yourself, right? So same thing going into a house. It really does depend. The smoke conditions, whatever smoke conditions we're counting are at the front door. How rapidly can we search? What I learned years ago from the Cobb County guys at the Atlanta Fire Conference, which I feel like a dummy that it took me almost 10 years to learn this, was the fact that, hey, man, if you see it, it's searched. You ever heard that? If you see it, searched. If I could see across the room, do I have to go over there and go, fire department, anybody in here? No, you don't.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. I like it. I like it.
I can't see behind the couch. We're going to target that search right there. That's the whole targeted search. So back to like the split search, it really depends. You get in the house, you have moderate smoke conditions. You see it's a pot on the stove. Sure, you could split people off. Or you have known intel on where someone's at. Yeah, there's all kinds of different varieties of ways. So I don't think I lean on one particular thing. I think I back pocket 3 different options for me. And that would be my encouragement to everyone listening, is kind of got to go at it in 3s. Whatever you do, try to figure out the thing in 3s. And at the end of the day, keep it simple down to like 3 steps or less, 3 thoughts or less to a conclusion. And when you hit a roadblock, stop. And like one of the previous fire chiefs, battalion chief that he was my brother's mentor, and he was my first battalion chief coming on the job, David Messerschmidt. He said, you know what? Sometimes doing nothing is an option.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when you hit ABC and you hit a roadblock, maybe nothing is that option to regroup. So I gotta answer that question with it depends. It really depends on what you face.
I love it, man. And you can't go wrong if you just say John Norman said.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a failsafe. Daniel Austin coming at you, changing of gears here.
Yes.
Chief Stone.
Yeah.
How do you balance your love for the job with your faith and family?
It's a good one. I put that up front and I haven't been able to address it yet. Like Joey Hayes, we talked about this afternoon. It's the 3 F's, right? I mean, we probably have heard that on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And the 3 F's for me is a matter of priorities in life. And priorities are sometimes defined when we follow philosophies. I think sometimes that's just like a policy. It's produced out of something that went wrong a lot of times. Firefighters are a very passionate bunch. And I would say specifically the guys and girls that are listening to this, we're a different breed of people, right? The 1%ers, the 5%ers are listening to this stuff and reading and studying and attending. So in light of that, that's who I'm talking to right now. Because the other guys, no balance because they don't care about the job, right? Their balance is out of balance. So with that being said, I'll premise with what I'm saying is that I feel like the job for me is a calling higher than me. So I'll start off with that. That connects with my faith. It blows me away sometimes with other guys and girls in the job. Maybe they don't have a sense of faith, and whatever it is, they don't have that established foundation. For me, everything kind of looks back at that, right? Everything turns back to my faith. Before the job, that was there. It's like my wife. Well, not technically because I started the job when we got married, but for a lot of us, our wives, our family were there maybe before we started the job or vice versa. But at the end of the day, the things that are going to have longevity in this life on the planet and on the earth, in my opinion, are going to be your faith first and foremost. If you have it, it's going to extend into eternity, right? Secondarily, is this right here, these people right here, right behind me. I set this up specifically not to show off any kind of liquor. That's what wasn't my intent. It was my family right here, right? Me and my wife and my 2 girls, which, by the way, the Stone sisters, well, Stone and Ward now are both nurses in the public service world, which is really exciting. But all that to say, those things are eternal in a sense to me. So that's the balance. We put the priorities there. Faith sets your mind right. Family, it doesn't work out this way all the time. It always kind of trumps what the job is. So, and timing is everything. It's a really long answer to this, but I think it's multi-layered, multifaceted. And I really want to talk about this because I think there's a lot of people that have imbalance and they'll admit, oh, there's imbalance, but they don't realize that it's actually more imbalanced than they think.
Right.
And here's what I mean by that. Timing is everything in this life and in this job. And so early on, my career, heavily involved in a union, training, doing stuff. I'm working 3 and 4 jobs. My wife wanted to be a stay-at-home professional mom. That's what we did. Hustling to support that. I have 2 little girls. Now I blink. I just married my oldest girl last week, 22 years old, to an amazing young man. Couldn't ask for better. She's married out. My youngest just got into nursing, about to age out and move out. And now I'm looking at who? My wife. Right. The one person that's going to be with me. And I've committed for life. She's going to be there. So all that to say, that has got to be a priority up front. If I could hit the redo button, and I did. You can ask guys like Kurt and my brother. I pulled back probably, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago, 5-7 years ago, way back, because I think those of us that are into teaching and that, there's an idea of fire fame. And, of course, that's a draw. You want to be a part of that. You want to teach, you enjoy it, you get exhilarated, you get a high reward from that. But at the end of the day, we have to prioritize our family first. We have to prioritize our faith first. And sometimes what that does, it gives you a span of time to create this thing called experience and a little bit of platform to maybe operate from. And a lot of times I see guys, young guys, man, they're driving so hard, man, and they love it. Well, guess what, man? You blink and now your girls are adults or your boys are adults and they're moving on. And when we retire, me, you, Corley, And a lot of these guys, girls watching right now, the job will move on. Job will move on. I'm experiencing that right now.
Yeah,
Like
tones keep
I
dropping, the rigs keep
retired.
rolling. Yeah.
Yes, I moved away from Fort Walton Beach. I haven't missed a beat. But you know what? That's a testament to maybe a legacy left behind, maybe a foundation laid, or whatever the case. Point being, for me, the three F's, right? Faith, family, then the fire service. And the fire service has to be a third, and it has to be important because for most of us, it is a calling. And for all of us doing the job, it's that important.
Mm-hmm.
We have the one job, without being overly dramatic, that you make a mistake and it will kill you and it will kill others. And you know, like I've been part of calls and decisions. I'm thinking of them right now as I speak. That, man, if I would have done it differently, that person might have lived. Do I let that beat me up? No, because I can't change it. Back here, can't change that. But I could work to, like what Kurt does with the number, Maurice's number and his legacy. That has driven that guy to do what he's doing right now.
Absolutely.
Out of a memory to honor, like, man, I could have, if I would have just done that one thing. So all that back to the final F of the fire service, that yes, it is that important to be into the job, but we have to be into the job in a certain way that's not alienating people around us, but it's bringing them with us. Because we get frustrated, we tend to alienate. So it's a delicate balance along this journey. And I think if you keep those priorities in check, you have a form of faith. You put your family first and then just give it time. Your time will come, time will happen. The timing is everything. And gain that experience. I think then at that point, if you want the platform of Fire Famous and to get on the circuit and all that other thing, then cool, that's there for you. And you didn't sacrifice your time with your family. You included them. If you do go hard with a young family, bring them along with you. I learned this lesson recently in the last couple of years. It had gotten to the point where my wife isn't here, but if she was, I would interview her and ask her, the job maybe have alienated her a little bit. And it maybe alienated my girls a little bit because they saw that it took priority over them. So when we include our family into it, right? Maybe that changes the dynamic. Maybe that's the compromise. Right. Maybe that's the bridge. Like you bring your wife into the fold. I think that's fantastic. That's really cool because now she's owning what you're owning and you're enjoying it together.
And we're very like you're staring down the barrel of empty nest. You know what I'm saying? My youngest is 22 now. He's our baby. He's on OKC Fire.
Yeah.
We are empty nesters. And right when we became empty nesters, that's where a lot of people struggle because my wife, especially, her entire life centered around those kids. That's almost to the detriment of our relationship. And she'll say that. So I'm not, you know what I'm saying? But it was all about the kids. Yeah. And when they leave, it's like me and her just kind of sitting across the table from each other going, saying, now what? And for us, it's been really cool because Firehouse Vigilance has kind of been that thing that we've kind of coalesced around. And so we're very unusual in that regard, but it's been fun. So
you say it's unusual, but that should be the usual.
No, I think I agree. I wish it could be because I love it. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I just encourage everyone in the audience, bring your family and your wife along. Bring them to the conferences. If you can afford to come to Pensacola Beach, let them play on the beach. Man, for years I've watched what Kurt has done to really promote this family atmosphere, and that is great, man. That's the fantastic way it should be.
Yes,
FDIC kind of the same thing, right? To an extent, there's the family element, and there should be a place in that.
All of
Fire
them
services,
all of them are shifting towards this inclusion of the family, the kids, the parents, all of them across the country. It's great. It's fantastic because you can plan a trip to Disney World, and there's nothing wrong with those family trips. But you can also plan it to like a Pensacola Beach or Myrtle Beach or insert whatever beach. And man, the kids have fun. You have fun with the kids, and you get to go to a fire conference.
No,
but
100% right. Yeah.
Who was I gonna? There was somebody who said something. Oh yeah, it was this right here. This scrap. This is Zach Golembeski.
Yeah.
Zach Golembeski. His wife. I think his wife. Zach.
That's cool.
If I'm selling you short that you made it, I'm sorry, but I believe his wife is the one that makes them.
That's cool.
Out of Kansas. I will 100% Kyle said there's somebody else who needs one. So Zach might be watching, or he will probably watch or listen to the scrap. So anyway, I wanted to point that out. It's a beautiful, beautiful mug that I believe Zach's wife made. So the Mrs. Golombeski, and I hope I'm saying Golombeski right. So I'm sure someone can correct me.
Yeah, pull your wife, pull your family into it, man. The job is about family. Let them be a part of what you love so much in your passion.
Shifting again on you, back to tactics. Follow-up question from James Michelisco. Did you prefer to search back from the fire or start at entry?
A little bit of both.
I was gonna say I was gonna go with it depends, but
yeah, no, it's true. I mean, it does depend, but I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, you tell me, Corley, because we kind of work in like organizations, you know, the suburban America context, and I think it's like as you search, you're scanning, right? And a lot of times, as we search, we're the first new engine company stretching a line and searching simultaneously.
Absolutely,
it's not uncommon for us, and so it's almost like the equivalent of the hitting a hard from the yard, you know. That's an opportunistic thing. That's not an always thing. So if the opportunity exists, so when we're stretching through a living room, making a right down the hallway, you're scanning that area. You may not be detailed scanning, but you're doing a see it search thing, right? And you're not targeting that, because I've always been taught I need to get as closest to the fire and search back. You know, that's just right, wrong, or indifferent. That's kind of been the pattern for us outside of a known location and targeting that search. If you know where someone is located and you have intel, that's where you start the search, right? So in a sense, it does depend. Are you first to a rival engine company? Are you committed to the search? You know, depending on the intel, all those things are factors, but it's a little bit of both, in my opinion.
There you go. There you go. Hey, beautiful answer. And like you said, like the mission is search, period. The whole reason we exist is search. The whole reason we exist is victims. Like you take victims out of the equation, we could honestly just do it with master streams. Like stop some property loss. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of opinion and debate in the business about that. You know,
I don't think there's any logical debate about it, but
no, I would agree. I think if everyone has the citizen mindset, you're going to see a lot less civilian deaths. But what you're doing is getting the message out, right? What all of us that are connected to this movement are doing, or we're like messengers, like we're the gospel of the fire service, right? Like we're out here kind of trying to bring one or two people in. That's what I always say. It's kind of like, it's sort of like church, right? Hey man, just bring a friend, you know, bring a friend down to Pensacola, bring a friend up to Atlanta, bring a friend down to Orlando Fire Conference, or if you're out west, you know, the stuff that they do. I mean, all of the conferences are everywhere. Bring a friend, right? And let's try to convert people one person at a time. And then guess what? If you're one of the people watching this, here's my encouragement to you: promote, rise to the level of which you can make a global change. And you know what? There is something to be said about being well-versed in administration and in the street. You know, when you get to the top of a heap in an organization, you may be administrative, but if you haven't forgot about the needs of the people on the street, you could be a Chief Thompson from the colony. He's one of the people I can think right now. He plays a very good balance on that.
Yes.
He does not forget about that. He fuels that thing, but he doesn't have to be in those trenches. He's very administrative and writes books, probably, frankly, in my opinion, as a suburban guy, one of the best books on the market right now for small, medium-sized departments. And so he's a great balance of both. So I encourage everybody, work on promoting and really making global change bit by bit. The entire country will start being more intelligently aggressive, and not aggressive like cowboys, or et cetera, whatever people say.
Cowboys are awesome. Cowboys and pirates are both awesome.
My wife just arrived. I'm going to introduce her and embarrass her in a minute. But
okay, yeah. I like it. And the book he's referencing is The Functional Fire Company by Chief Scott Thompson. I'll say it's the greatest book for suburban fire departments, period. It's in the top 5 of all fire books, period, in my personal opinion. So I will say that 100%. Yeah. And anybody who knows me knows I'm a huge fan of Chief Scott Thompson and the book. So, Are we introducing the wife, or am I throwing questions at you?
She's putting stuff down. So, yeah, she'll just cruise in whenever she's around here.
What's a
No
good
hurries.
What's a good piece of advice that you have received from a mentor? This comes from Marco Isone.
Um, and this one probably kind of brushes up against another one that I've sent you. And this would be as of late as a leader, as a boss. Um, I would just say, like, the best piece of advice, two things. One, listen more. Like, listen more than you speak. You know, the old saying goes, you got two ears and one mouth. So listen twice as much as you talk. As you rise up in the ranks, you need to be more of a listener, less of a talker. And the reality is, whether you want to believe it or not, people don't want to hear what you have to say.
Right.
The further you get up the chain within your organization, typically, not always. So I think that is a really valuable piece of advice. And then, kind of like on the tail end of that, would be the 2 second to respond to anything that may trigger you, or just in general. So there's something to be said about being stoic and quiet and listening, because you're gathering intel and information, and something to be said about a slow response. So it's like this, I mean, I have been tried over the years continually every day to now, and I fail routinely. And unfortunately, I fail probably more with my own family than I do with people on the job. But waiting 2 seconds to curtail a response to someone that, most of the time, the challenge is when someone says something stupid, or something that just pisses you off, or sarcastic, or condescending, right? So I think those two things, listen twice as much as you speak and take time to respond, are super valuable, because at the end of the day, in the business, as you move up and you lead people and you get in charge, as much as you're a tactician, you need to be more so a counselor, more so a human relations expert, because we're dealing with the everyday life in the firehouse way more than you're dealing with any emergencies in the street. And I don't care where you work. I mean, you could work in Fort Lauderdale, the busiest firehouse in the country. You're still going to be dealing more so with human relations to an extent than actually running an emergency and making tactical decisions.
Love it. I love it. The guy who asked, Marco Isone, said max points, Chief. So you already got max points for one question.
Sweet. Right.
Head start. No doubt about it. I'm looking at the questions they're throwing at you. I also have the notes, but again, yeah, I don't know where I put them. So I'm going to keep going with the audience questions because they're good anyway. Yeah. Jared Nystrom wants to know, Nystrom, what are the main goals you hope to achieve with your new position at South Walton? What's your vision? And again, if you don't want to talk about specifics right yet and publicly, that's completely up to you. So I'll always give you that caveat because you're brand new to the position.
So here's the funny thing. I've made one shift of rounding, and I do my next shift tomorrow. When it takes all day to get to all the stations. But I think in general, my intention is to continue to fuel the level of enthusiasm and excitement of just being a firefighter. I'm in a almost all hazard organization. They do everything but hazmat. So they have special operations. They're getting into water rescue stuff. They have a beach service. They have ambulance service. They got all this. I'm here specifically. I have the pleasure of having the direct responsibility of only fire training. Like, how lucky am I to do that?
Right.
I don't got to worry about the beach. I don't got to worry about special ops. They take care of themselves. I don't have to worry about anything but the fire service. So my intent is to pour fuel to those that are excited about it. Not everybody in every organization is pumped as we are, maybe, about the job, but everybody that is, man, I got your candy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here to fuel that. So I like to grow that enthusiasm. And then one of my global goals, and I'm pretty sure I've shared it with the Chiefs there as well, so I don't think I'm overstepping any boundaries, is I want South Walton to become a regional, like a center, kind of like what Kurt has done in Pensacola. I want to bring that a little further east, and not in any sort of competition with Kurt at all. Right. In fact, I've had discussions with him about the future of what I'm doing, and I want to be in partnership with him and all these other great minds that come through the area. And I want that organization to be a stopping point and a launching point for internal greatness and external greatness, if that makes sense, like a
absolutely,
like a conduit. because we have the training center, technically speaking, and the resources to support such a focus, and they're already on the right track and like doing a lot of really great things. So I'm there just to amplify it. And the short answer, without getting too detailed, is that's in my vision.
Right.
Are we going to get
Right.
there? I don't know. I mean, I'm there for 10 years minimum. And as long as I'm enjoying the job, I'm not going to go home. And hopefully in the next 2 to 3 years, recruiting a cadre of people that are more passionate than me, who want to go even harder and just letting dogs loose, you know what I mean? And coordinating that. So that's what I'm excited about. And I like to see what happened in the next 3 years or so.
Love it. Love it. Kyle Romagus had a great description of it. You have to check it out sometime when you read the comments later.
Yeah.
And Jared, thank you for a great question. Great question.
Yes, thank you.
That was a little vague. I'm trying to see Timothy Wood. Timothy, if you're still around, ask me, clarify your question. Do you think the job has changed? I want to hear what you mean in that regard. Adam Melkai wants to know, what are the best family friendly conferences out there? Your opinion. I don't know if you're a conference aficionado or not, but
I could say in the Southeast, yeah, probably.
Right.
I haven't been too far out of the Southeast. I mean, Corley, you could probably give a better global answer, but I could speak for the Southeast. I mean, hands down, what Kurt is doing with the conferences here, and not because he's a friend and not because I've helped over the years and I've been affiliated and a part of the team, but because I've seen what he's done to expand the boundaries. I think that is right up front, that one. For sure. I think next in line would be Orlando. It's a no-brainer. It's next to Universal Studios, man. I mean, and they're completely family friendly down there. And it's JJ and like Steve and all the guys that run that conference. It's the first one that I had ever been to. I went in 06 by myself. Before Kurt went, before my brother and any of them. I heard word on the street. And my brother was like, man, you need, why don't just go and check it out? That was the pivotal moment in my career. I took a right turn, man, and I haven't looked back since. So nice. I would be remiss not to say that about Orlando and how family friendly they are because of the location, the people running that conference. And then, Atlanta's always a good one. It's probably one of the more affordable.
When you say Atlanta, like you say
hardcore. Yeah, Mapsy. Okay. I think it's great. Now, I know there's a ton more around, right. That are going on more so in the last 5 years than ever. And honestly, I think that's a good thing. I think that's great because not everyone can travel great distance to attend these things.
Right.
So the closer we are to share this gospel of fire, the better, right?
And especially the ones that include the family, because if you have your family at your back while you're doing this job, you can do this job for a very long time, man, and do it effectively.
That is so true, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. A couple I'll mention, just to add to it, Carolina Fire Day, someone mentioned it in the chat. Absolutely. They're very, very big. Heather and Joe, absolutely big on family. Dadgum down in Texas. I think family was more of the focus of Dadgum than even tactics was. And it was powerful. It was very, very
that conference looks really cool, by the way.
Man, it is. It's a special,
I would love to go to that.
It was a very special, I was glad to be a part of it. I know I'm leaving some out. It's like anytime you start mentioning things and leaving stuff out, I don't mean to do that. But those two really do stick out in my head for family, just family centric.
I agree.
Yep, Oath Keepers. Kyle actually brings up OK. Every time I see OK, I think Oklahoma. So when they do Oath Keepers, I always think Oklahoma. Absolutely said Mile High. There's so many conferences.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Austin is asking, Chief Stone, if you could give one piece of advice to a young officer, what would you tell them?
Man, so many things. So I'm going to jump the gun on the book reading thing because I think that this is probably the best thing you could do in preparation. Next to like studying the job, right? So back to the human relations thing. The one thing I think I could recommend to anyone who's stepping in this position in an HR realm, dealing with the human element, is reading the book Emotional Intelligence 2.0. It's just a really good book on how to communicate. a lot of people, that's kind of like a buzzword now, emotional intelligence. It's
Right.
been around for a long time. The reason it's a buzzword is because it works and it's extraordinarily important, especially to a group of people that live together. You're going to have more of a challenge, and you tell me, Corley, if I'm off base on this or not. You have more of a challenge dealing with the human element and motivation and focus than probably operations on the fireground.
Oh yeah. I would say I'd say it's a 9-to-1 ratio, unless you live in Jobtown. I will put that caveat there. For the bulk of the American Fire Service, it's a 9-to-1 ratio of dealing with problems at the firehouse way more than you deal with problems on the fireground.
Yes,
that's my
and
personal.
Even in places, even places that go to a lot of fires, really, it's pockets, isn't it? It's not like the whole organization is going to jobs.
They got the busy.
If you're
they got
lucky
the busy
enough to bid the station,
the busy house, the busy house. Yes.
So,
and all the rest of them are dealing with the 9-to-1 ratio of people problems.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I hate to harp on the human relations element, but I just see that that's such a gap in new officership. And frankly, there's some classes bubbling up about it, like your 9Ls. Like those are really great principles that are immediately applicable, and we need more of that. And we need more people like assigned to read that stuff. I mean, your book, frankly, would be a great one to assign new officers. Okay, before you get here, read this. This is your assignment. It's part of the curriculum. Emotional intelligence. I had assigned that to people before on my shift. Hey, listen, you need to read this, and then let's come back and talk about it.
Love it. Love it.
You're going to encounter that HR problem at some point.
No, it's awesome. Someone said, Daniel Austin said, emotional intelligence 2.0 is 57% off right now, boys. And I'm assuming he means on Amazon. That's where everybody shops. But absolutely. Yes. Andrew Borges says fireground operations is the easy part of being a leader. It's the other administrative stuff that is the hard part of being a leader. Yeah. Stephen, so many comments, lots of reactions. Man, I want to say, first of all, DJ, I apologize for the crash in the middle because we were rocking it. The audience was rocking it. The cool part is it recovered. We didn't get back to the numbers we were at, but it recovered.
That's okay.
And you're killing it. So I want to throw this to you before I segue out of topics, because there's a long list of topics and we've hit some of them because of the audience questions and some of them not. But I want to throw it to you. Yeah. Anything specific you want to talk about before we segue into books and questions?
No, I think I'd leave people with this. Two things, three things maybe. So I don't know if I'm gonna get myself in trouble with this. Before I say this, Kurt is a personal mentor and friend, right? I mean, honestly, I am who I am. He's a great part of that. But I'll say there's a lot of talk about lanes and staying in lanes and getting out of lanes. And I totally get what he's talking about. And I think in some respect, though, in relation to that, I'm not going to say a lane. I'm just going to say an orbit. So as we move forward in the business, sometimes it's good for us to stay in an orbit because of this, or a lane, or however you want to describe it.
Okay.
Don't get tied around the axle about things you cannot change. You have no influence to change. For example, city council elections. I work for a city. It sucks and it's good. It's an up and down. You can't change that. I can't change what another shift does before I come in. I can only change the fact that I'm putting air in my bottle now. I'm cleaning the blood off the glucometer. I'm setting my gear up right? So in light of that, and before we complain about the chiefs and what they're doing, let's be concerned about us first. Let's take care of our lane. Let's take care of our orbit. Let's affect the things that we could change first, right? So that would be my encouragement. And secondarily, I can't overemphasize the value of mentorship. And mentorship comes in a lot of ways. And the beauty of the internet is this is form of mentorships. Whether it's you mentoring someone distantly, Corley, with your book and your conferences, or it's someone in person, I think there's value in both. So you need to be a mentor and you need to be mentored by somebody. And you know this as well as I do. Some of these people that you think are far off in the fire service, they're really at your fingertips and emailing and reaching out. Not
Absolutely.
one of the perceivable legends or the guys that I've looked up to and I have had the pleasure of being in the orbit with have ever been like, man, I ain't got the time.
Right.
All of them just love the job. They love making people better for absolutely nothing because they're just those people. They're servants, right? And let me throw this little tidbit in there. There's no other leadership than servant leadership, in my opinion. Period.
I
Servant
love it.
leadership is the answer. You want to answer you want to answer the leadership question. What kind of boss need to be? You be a servant leadership. Everything is about how you are serving the people you lead and the community that you lead. So how to get better at that is mentorship, man. We got to have these people that speak into our lives. And the most influential person in my life would be my brother on this job. You know, he has helped me avoid countless pitfalls. A lot of people I talk to, like, man, I went through this struggle and I was an officer like this, and then I crashed and did this. And I'm going, I really didn't struggle with that because I had my mentor, I had my brother, and many other people around me saying, do this, don't do that. I listened with two ears, I stayed quiet, and I followed advice. You know, so I think those things, in kind of closing this out, are extraordinarily important. You know, I know tactics and strategies and all these things are exhilarating topics, but I feel like what we're talking about tonight are nuts and bolts to success that aren't typically expounded upon because they're not flashy,
Right.
but
Right.
it's absolutely critical to success. If you want to be a better leader, be a better servant, and die to yourself first.
Ooh, I love that last quote. Die to yourself first. I absolutely love it. Man, I did it. I did. I was trying to timestamp. It's so hard to timestamp when we had to restart. But this is the deal. Yeah, you got another max points. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's was Andrew. Did Andrew give him max points last time too, or was it someone else? But I'm
I,
not sure. I'm not sure, but I'm judging. I'm judging.
I'll take
Okay.
whatever points I can get, man.
I love it. You already mentioned Emotional Intelligence 2.0, but I love books. Anybody who knows me knows I love books. I love asking
Yeah.
the question, what book or books do you think firefighters should be reading?
The other one would be 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by Maxwell.
Mm,
Maxwell, hands down, I don't care who you talk to, he's probably one of the best. And so, foundational books for leadership, I think those two, you can't go wrong. You just
right.
can't. There's a gazillion of, like, right now as we speak, I'm listening to The Dichotomy of Leadership. It's
Mm-hmm.
taking me this long to get to it. Let me tell you, Jocko, man, they're like,
The
I've
principles are
never listened
solid,
to
man.
much of his stuff. Bro, it's so good. That's another good one. But 21 Laws and I think Emotional Intelligence are a really good start. They're quick reads, very useful information
Yes.
to immediately apply it to your career and the human relation element of being a leader and really just being a good person.
And on the subject of Maxwell, because I like to throw it out there every time, two of his books that I really love, Developing the Leader Within You, which is
Yeah.
21 Irrefutable Laws is his best, period. I think that.
Yeah.
And then Developing the Leader Within You is really good for company officer. And then he wrote one much later. He's wrote like 80 books. So, but
Yeah.
leadership gold. What he wrote it after he wrote like 50 books. And it was like the distillation of all of them, all the first 50 in one. So it's a really good one if you don't
Leadership Gold. I'm going to write that down because I haven't even heard of that.
No, it's one of he wrote it after he'd written like 50 books. So it's all the other ones kind of melted into one. And
so you got 49 more books to write, man. So you're one down.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't think anybody can match Maxwell. Yeah, dude. I love him. I love him. He's one of my biggest influences. Him and Simon Sinek. Anyway, I keep rattling off authors. Without a doubt. Yes. Okay. So we have a thing. You already answered so many questions. You've already gotten max points. That's kind of an unusual thing. But we'll see how it goes. It's called the 5 questions for firefighters. Originally, it was the 5 questions for firefighters. After 100 episodes or so, I had to switch it up and it became the next 5 questions for firefighters. And then only a few episodes ago, we made it the 5Q3, the 5 questions for firefighters version 3.0. So There are no correct answers. They are all your opinions. But my question for you is, are you ready for the 5Q3?
Shoot. Ready. Let's do it.
Coming at you. What single, wait, no, that's not the right questions. Hold on. I was about to ask you 2.0.
Oh, well, let's answer all the point O's, man.
We'll just do 10 questions for DJ Stone. 2 seconds. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I promise you.
Yeah.
I promise
Okay.
you I'm getting there. No pressure, Corley. All right, here we go. This is much better. What is the skill that has carried you through your fire service career?
I would say for me, adaptation. So here's what I mean about adaptation. Adaptation to circumstance. In other words, willing to make a change and willing to make corrections when needed. And then furthermore, learning from the mistakes of others so you don't make them. If you can adapt early on in your career, that skill set crosses boundaries from human relations to fireground skill sets. Especially as a suburban firefighter, you have to adapt and overcome, because 1 minute you're an engine, 1 minute you're a truck, another minute you're giving medical aid. You just never know. Sequence of arrival based response model is the majority of America. And so in relation to that, the earlier you learn to adapt, the better you are going to be in longevity of maybe even becoming better in your career. And then the mentors that you have around you going, hey man, do this, don't do that. And if you could actually follow that advice, you're going to avoid a lot of trouble in your career.
Dude, I love it. I absolutely love it. McGinn is the first one from YouTube. He said max points, and I agree. It's an adaptation. It's beautiful. In fact, it's what adapt and overcome. McGinn said it, and it's kind of what I originally dubbed the title of the scrap. And when I read all the topics was about adapting everything. Joe Mitchell agreed. Max points.
Yes.
So there you go.
Yes.
And I want to just for the behind the scenes, I make really detailed notes every time there's a scrap coming up. And Alan Golgoffy said, no doubt max points. But the thing is I'll take an old one and I'll copy it, and then I'll delete everything that had to do with the last guest, and I'll plug in everything from the new guest, copy paste out of the emails. You know what I'm saying? And so the reason I was about to ask, we just switched. And so I actually copied Clark Lampings over to be number 199, and I deleted everything about Clark, and I pasted in everything DJ except for the 5 questions. So anyway, there's the behind the scenes. Good job on max points. Good job on behind the scenes. So then I pulled up Mike Lombardo's notes and I said, what is the most important? We kind of touched on this, so I'll be interested to see your answer. Most important soft skill to possess in a leadership position.
I already talked about it, man. 2 ears, 1 mouth. I mean, I don't even think I need to expound on that. I can't overemphasize listening more. And it's not a trick. It's the truth. The more you listen, the more intel you gather in every level, right? Specifically speaking to human relations. And then you could also say tactical and otherwise. You know, you have to be willing to listen twice as much as you're saying something.
No, I wouldn't even look at the chat. It's max points because, dude, it is, like you said, it's like a trick. It's like a life hack. If you listen, man, you will be a more effective person, especially if you are responsible for people, man. 1,000% max points. I'll see what people said. No doubt max points. There you go.
I'm working on that too. Like I'm still working on the listening bit. I haven't perfected it.
Absolutely.
Because I like to talk, man. Like anybody else, I like to talk. I like to share my opinions. But I've learned to read people, and I could see them too now. Like I can tell when people they're glossing over, right? A little bit cross-eyed. Okay, try to learn to talk in sound bites, man, and just listen to people more. People want people to listen to them most of the time, especially my wife, and so and my girls.
Right?
Learn to listen more.
They want to be heard. They want to know that they're valid. Yes, they want to be validated. Absolutely. The number one way you can validate another person is to hear the words that they are saying. Man, so strong. Easy max points. Number 3. What is your favorite fire service tradition?
Well, first off, I could say solid bore nozzles, leather helmets, and red trucks. But kidding aside, because that is sort of kidding, sort of not. I think the sense of service and honor to be able to do a job that I'm assuming is like 1% of the population gets to do. That's a pretty big honor. Not only being able to get it, but I get paid to do it. Like we tend to forget that over time, you know? So that tradition of service and the status it gives you in a community, I don't do it for the status, but you know what? I'm super grateful that people are glad to see me when I arrive to help them. My law enforcement brothers, I don't know how they do it. I just don't. Like, I don't know that I could live and work in an environment where the population is frustrated towards me.
Mm-hmm.
So that keeps me grateful for this position that we have and the goodwill that is automated because of our job into the community. We're automatically assumed to be the good guys. That is really great. And that directly ties into the tradition of service since the beginning. And I remind people at my old job, and at some point in the new job, I'll say this again. We signed up to be public servants. That's what we are. That's first. Before we're firemen, firewomen, firefighters, we're public servants, period.
Right on, right
and
on.
so we should be proud of that. That's a long standing history since the dawn of time. And I think that resonates in me as something to be proud of.
Love it. Timothy Wood said max points. James Michelisco said max points 100. Screw automatic fog nozzles and Euro helmets. So he gave you max points.
I'm saying
got to your answer. True statement. No, I had you. I wrote down this max points on helmets, nozzles, and red trucks, and then you answered it with an absolutely crushing.
There is nothing more American than the leather fire helmet. I'm sorry if you don't agree with that, but like that to me, as far as just a visual tradition, along with the color red, is like right. When you think fire service, that's what you think. I pray to God in the rest of my career that we never go away from the traditional fire helmet. I don't care how irrelevant the design is and how unergonomic it doesn't matter to me. I don't ever want to see us go away from that.
Dude, you're talking my language because you mispronounced. Yeah. I don't care if you are wrong. If you are wrong, that's what you meant to say.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. That's right.
I love it. Okay, brother. Number 4, 3 for 3, max points, easy max points. I don't know if you studied for this test or not, but you're killing it. Yeah. Number 4, who are the 4 people you would put on the Mount Rushmore of the fire service?
This one's tough, man. You know, and I had to think about it on people who have probably impacted my career and my direction and investment into where I'm at, you know? And so, in light of that, the people that came to mind in considering it was, of course, you know, it's my brother, like it's my blood, right? He's been the foremost influence on my life, in my career. And next to that, I would be remiss not to say Kurt Isaacson. You know, a lot of the guys that listen to this podcast are fans of Kurt. You know, Kurt is a friend. I knew him before I started. And I think we can all agree that people are listening to this podcast that a guy from Pensacola, Florida has made a major impact into this business. And I'd be remiss to say it hasn't impacted me. His enthusiasm and his craziness, as crazy as Kurt is sometimes, you know, the good and whatever, you know, what I like about Kurt is like, it's what you see is what you get. He's very much the same person on your podcast as he has in real life. And that is a unique thing in people and humans these days, especially in the social media world. But anyways, he is, I would be remiss not to say the type of impact that he's had on me as a friend and as a mentor and someone who challenges me. And I would say Brunacini is another one. Blue card aside, or whatever people think about all that stuff, right, that has been traced back to him. I still use the be nice mantra every day as a human and as a boss. Be nice. I mean, if you think about it, in the 90s, that guy really impacted the business in a big way.
Without
the customer service.
Yes, the cartoon
And
book.
so hugely important.
Yes.
I think he's impacted my sort of perception and my attitude towards a job. And then finally, another person that I think is one of the most underrated people. And the crazy thing is, I've met this guy once or twice, but I've gleaned so much for what he has input into the internet world as far as learning for absolutely nothing for free. It's been a crazy service. Is Jason Hovelman, Chief Hovelman, with his officer development and the stuff that he has done in the business. He, in my opinion, is probably one of the most underrated contributors to the fire service. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, because I know he has a huge platform.
No,
and
absolutely.
He does a lot of things, but people should be talking about more of what he's poured into officer development, at least from my perspective, more than most that I could recall. I have gleaned a ton off of his wisdom and the input that he's put in the business. So it's a really tough question to answer. And there's a gazillion other people, but I think those four, when I was thinking about it today, they've really impacted the direction of my career, and I'm super grateful for it.
I love the answers. I love the answer. I love all four. I love all four and the impact they've had in my life. And shameless plug, August 27th, Jason Hovelman will be coming back to the scrap to talk about it. And, no exceptions leadership and officer development, the new company officer, all of it, 100%. So, but I love your answer. Yeah. Easy max points. I'll see what the audience said. Yeah. Jeff Stone said max points. Bruno for sure. Be nice. And Mrs. Smith. There you go. Jeff Diaz said my fire service Rushmore would look like Medusa's hair. I couldn't narrow it down to 4. No, it's a tough one, man.
True.
It's a tough
that
one.
Is tough.
You almost feel like you're just disservicing people when you're gonna be like, oh wait, I bet. Oh yeah, no, it's tough,
man. Listen, it's a laundry list of people of locals that there's people's names that will never be. And here's the thing. Maybe back to mentorship. There's so many more people close in your orbit that are going to impact you almost overwhelmingly more than the people that are in the fire fame lane circuit line of things. Right? If you're lucky enough to be one of us who affiliate a lot, we glean a lot from it. But most people learn the most of what and the most value they get out of the job and who they are from the people they're working with in their own organization. So that's another thing I encourage everybody to do at the end of the night tonight, end of our conversation. Think about what are you doing for your organization first. Before you want to go out and teach this stuff, and you want to be a part of something and create a presence on the internet world, what are you doing internally in your own department? That was a challenge from Ray McCormick back in the day to me. That's like, great. One of the biggest accomplishments, if I remember the story correctly, was his input into the FDNY and different sectors of that operation, because it was such a big deal to him because of his affiliation with his department. And I said, you know what? That's right. What am I doing for my department first?
Right on.
So all that to point back to these people that are super important around us, to pay homage to them and respect to these guys that have poured into us.
I love it. I've been looking forward to asking you this question, which is the question. It's the 5th question. It is the heavy fire. If you're coming out with that helmet cam on and there's heavy fire and there's searchable space, what would you rather be assigned to the nozzle or first in on VES?
So people aren't going to like my answer. I'm just going to say it.
I love the qualifications. I love it.
I love engine work, man. I don't know about you, but there's nothing like bringing something out of control back into the control. It's an overwhelming sense of accomplishment. And there's nothing like helping a life too, but I like engine work, man. I love the thought of bulldozing through a door of fire and putting it out and bringing it under control. I've been very lucky to be a part of at least one successful rescue. The other ones, not so much. And there's no high like it, but what brings me back to the table is putting the fire out every time, man. I love that element of the job.
And that's why I love that question, because there is no right answer. I keep seeing a phantom arm.
That's all I'm trying to get her over here to say hello. Look, I will at the tail end. Come here, babe. So I would be remiss. We're talking about family, right? And we're talking about people. And this is my wife, Stephanie. You can bend down. Hey.
Hi.
She's kept me on track, and as our kids age out, she's the one that's going to be here, and that has guided me into my new endeavor in my career, and that joins me along the way. So I'd be remiss not to recognize the importance of my wife and her presence here and her support, really.
That's
and
awesome.
So, anyways, this is Stephanie. She's the
I don't know if
best.
she can hear me because you have earbuds in, but tell her thank you for sharing us for this evening.
You got your buds in.
She can hear you because I'm deaf and I got it like volume all the way up. So.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you. But absolutely, welcome to the scrap, McGinn said. All right, Engine Life. James Butchalisco said 99.99 points. And that's the beautiful thing. No, I give it max. I give it max because I love the passion of the answer, no matter who gives it. I love the passion of the answer. The reason behind it, there is no correct answer. I know mine. Everybody knows theirs. And absolutely, brother. Absolutely. I love. You just crushed the 5 questions for firefighters with 5 for 5 max points and a couple extra max points arbitrarily passed out by the audience early on. And that officially makes it 203 scraps in the books with a small glitch in the middle. I want to say this to the audience that's still here. Just like going to a fire, you never know what you're going to get. I think that's part of the allure of the scrap. You never know if it's just going to be a flaming inferno.
We had a little both.
just a small hiccup. But hey, I'm telling you, man, mutts don't scrap, and they hung out and they asked killer questions. They listened to killer answers. So with all that being said, officially 203 scraps in the book. If people want to get a hold of you, what is the best way to do so?
Probably through the 850 Fireman on Facebook Avenue. I am on Facebook. I'm re-engaging with my new job because it's such a valuable platform. But that would be the biggest conduit. I run it with my brother. We both kind of contribute to that thing. 850 Fireman on Facebook. Or I am for me, my main conduit of social media consumption is through Twitter, or X, or whatever he's calling it right now. But I find for me that platform has a little less drama, a bit more data. And so I am active on that one, 850 Fireman there as well, DJ Stone. You can find me. Or, email, obviously, 850 Fireman at Gmail, or dstone@swfd.org at my new work address. I'm an open book. That's right. Everything I got is yours, and vice versa. So,
and the grab analysis. I kept saying Grab Academy earlier. I'm sorry. Grab analysis. The Grab analysis. Yes. So please forgive me.
And I am presenting that at the Suburban Urban Fire Conference coming up in August.
Coming up in a month.
Kurt's thing. Yes.
I will see you there.
In the solo version. Yeah, right on, man.
That'd be awesome,
you
man.
Give me your input on it when you see it. See if
I will absolutely. I will absolutely. It will not suck. But there you go. Everybody, man. Go to firehousevigilance.com. Join the Vigilantes. If you want to be a part of the Cool Kids Club, I'll say it every time. It's $5 a month. It's the price of a cup of coffee. We do really cool stuff. You get discounts. You get exclusive swag. You get the input on what is going on. You get the behind the scenes, blah, blah, blah. All of that stuff. It's awesome. Believe me, the people that are in it know. That's just another bonus. The other part is right when the scrap ends, all the Vigilantes get to meet up and we get to critique and tell DJ that he did a really awesome job. So it's really fun, but badass scraps continue next week. Charlie Dahl, then Jeremy Sanders, a Crew First Culture, and then one of the smartest firefighters I know, and that's saying something because I know Dennis Laguerre, but one of the smartest firefighters I know, Eric Sailors, is coming on, and with the new stuff he's doing on active shooters and the takeaways from the studies, man, it's going to be a good one. My brother, DJ Stone, thank you for being such a phenomenal and patient and adaptive. I think that was a quality. Adaptive guest.
Thanks for having on a suburban nobody. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I won't even address it. Vigilantes, if you are going to be a part of the after party, the scrap after party, look for the link in the private group. I will send it out as soon as we close out. So look for it. DJ, as the guest, you are absolutely invited to come hang out for 20 minutes after the scrap is over. And be subjected to the Vigilantes telling you how awesome you were. Other than that, audience, man, I say this every time, and I know you guys have heard it 202 times. You are what makes the scrap magical. When it crashes, you come back and you keep it being magical. I can't say thank you enough, man. Thank you for tuning in live. I love you all. Remember, mutts don't scrap. I hope the tones stay silent unless it is burning. Everybody,